Thank you, Valerie. Part of that y'all missed was that he's a proud Arlington Colt. So yes, his family, Cliff, have been so engaged in Arlington for so many years. And so, Cliff, this is our last recognition of the evening. It's our Star Award. It means that you've done things in our community to raise above and be one of our heroes. And we appreciate you very, very much. But before we talk about you, so the Mycoskie family is a name that people know. Talk about being a Mycoskie and how that shaped your engagement in Arlington.
Well, my parents, is this loud enough? My parents came to Arlington in 1950, and it's about 7,000 people. Yeah. So it was, they were very involved in a lot of things, like the building, getting Arlington Memorial Hospital was a big deal. I was born in Fort Worth because we didn't have a hospital in Arlington. Mm-hmm. And my dad was very involved. He was the first chief of staff at Arlington Memorial. And seeing him, my two brothers became orthopedic surgeons. My sister was their nurse. So I came from a very medical family, and family gatherings, they were always talking about, who they helped and how it's going. And I kind of felt like a small person compared to what they were doing. But I think the best thing that I learned from my dad was the way he treated baseball players as the doctor for the Rangers. And he treated them all the same, and he treated them with dignity. And he had an unbelievable repertoire with him. So it was, I learned a lot about humility watching the way he treated players.
Well, you told me this great story, and it talks about how much Arlington has grown over the last 60 years or so. You talked about going on your dad's last house call. Tell people about that last house call.
So we did a lot of, I like going with him on house calls and with him when he made rounds at the hospital. And I woke up, it must have been a weekend because I was home, it was in the winter. He said, let's go, we're gonna go do a house call. So he had a T-Bird, we drove out on Matlock Road to where it dead ended. That was Arkansas Lane. And pouring down rain. And we just sat there, and he said, just wait a second. And sure enough, here comes a horseman reining two other horses. And we got out of the T-Bird, and he gave us yellow rain slickers, and we were off to Webb to see Mrs. English, who was ill. And he took care of her. We rode all the way back in the rain. We got in that car, he started it up, and he looked over at me and he said, that's my last house call. I mean, it took us a day to get down there and back, on horseback. So.
What year was that about?
That was probably about 1960.
1960, so nothing south of Matlock.
And there was no Pioneer.
Arkansas.
No Pioneer, no I-20. Stopped. Arkansas was kind of where civilization stopped.
Well, also in your younger days, back in 1971, you took over the city for the day. Talk about that.
Well, I was involved in service organization at Arlington High School, and our sponsor said, hey, they want you to be the mayor for the day. And of course, I knew Tom Vandergriff already, but I went down there, got dressed up, and spent the day with him, and actually even did a radio interview. It was really cool. But he was awesome, and of course, I knew a lot of people at the city, but he kept coming back, and I remember this vividly, talking about the Arlington High, the Colt football game against the Grand Prairie Gophers in Gopher Stadium. It was pouring down rain again, and we won 10-7, and I kicked a field goal to win the game. And he sent me a telegram after the game. He just said, you gave it, he was great. But he just kept coming back to that game. Now, tell me a little bit more about that game. And so he was a great fan. I had a really wonderful time spending that day with him.
All right, how far was the field goal that you kicked to win the game?
It was 40 yards.
40 yards, all right. All right, let's give a round of applause for 40 yards. All right, it seems to me, if you look back over the last 40 years, when Arlington needed somebody from the business community to step up, they called on Cliff Mycoskie. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, I mean, I had I guess it was a blessing, but maybe even a curse, because I was friends with most of the mayors And there must have been some sort of a passing the baton about who to call when you needed to raise money. So I sat on the park board and P&Z and chaired bond elections and raised money for those bond elections. And then my favorite one was the Levitt, and that was a great experience raising money for that. But yeah.
Well, let's talk about the Levitt Pavilion a little bit, because that was one of the big projects you worked on. I know there had to be some land exchanges and all that, but I know you're really proud of what you were able to do there.
Well, that was a great thing, and the land that the Levitt sits on the city did not own. It was the First Baptist Church land on the corner, and the city owned the land where the old city hall was, where the Dream sculpture is. So Maggie came and saw me and asked me MMA to survey the properties, and I turned it over to Jacob Sumter, and we surveyed it, and we prepared the plats, and we went and saw Terry Bertrand at the church, told him about the Levitt and what it was going to be, a music venue downtown, and it didn't take him 5 seconds to say yes and on the land swap. They were just wonderful. They were in on it, and they liked it. So.
Well, I know the guests that were here earlier today on the show, River Legacy, were really important to you as well. Talk about your involvement with River Legacy. Well,
River Legacy was a big deal. That was a really, really big deal. And of course, it was run by Sylvia Green, and she was a force. We had an all-star board on that. Just some really great heavy hitters on the board. And had to raise a lot of private money to get the park built, and then also private money to do the Nature Center, which is a world-class facility. And I'm really proud of that project. There's no park like that in this area. That trail system is incredible. The Nature Center, the children's education program. But what I did when I went off the board was I created the golf tournament every year, and then the clay shoot, which turns out to be, a lot of their two biggest fundraisers, really.
Yeah. All right, did you ever win the clay shoot?
No.
He's a really good shot, by the way. He's really good.
Not anymore. Not anymore.
As a friend of yours, it's awesome to see you receive the Star Award. And our community is collectively so grateful to you for all that you've done. We have a brief video here, a little surprise video with a couple of comments.
Cliff Mycoskie, congratulations and thank you. You are the recipient of the Greater Arlington Chamber of Commerce Star Award. It's our highest honor, and for it to be bestowed upon you is absolutely the perfect fit. You've been involved in so many aspects of our community, for the arts and for our parks, within River Legacy, within the Levitt Pavilion, within City Hall, and working through planning and zoning, and being such an integral part of working with our city councils and our mayors, and your commercial business suitability for land concepts and building concepts, and making it look better just simply because you were the guy that was doing it. So many of our signature venues and locations have your fingerprints all over them, and we're so appreciative of that. You've been a remarkable corporate citizen. You've been a go-to guy. You're kind of the guy that when somebody needs something, when they're trying to figure out how to get something done, hey, let's call Cliff Mycoskie, and you never tell them no. We greatly appreciate everything that you do. Congratulations, and I hope that you feel this honor.
Well, Cliff, where do I start? From the moment I met you, it has been an adventure. I have profoundly known that you are passionate about building a stronger community, along with that, building and helping organizations grow like River Legacy. So what can I say? You've done it all here at River Legacy. You've served on our board of directors for so many years. I've lost count of how many event committees that you have been on and volunteered your time and are still on to this day. To name a few, as you know, Charity Classic, and of course our beloved Clay Shoot, that you were a huge part in bringing to the foundation and guiding us, so thank you. But also, you played a huge part in fundraising with a combined total of over $1 million throughout those years that you have helped us in fundraising through events and just general donations. So thank you so much from the bottom of our hearts for teaching us, for guiding us, for believing in our work and investing in our mission at River Legacy Foundation. So thank you. Congratulations on your Gold Star Award.
Thank you, Cliff Mycoskie. Let's give him a big round of
Thank
applause.
you.
Get his picture here.